Hello and welcome to For Fox's Sake podcast. And it's Pete Selby here once again with the FPL show and we have Matt Elliott, 186th out of 11 million in FPL. That's not where he is right now. That's where he's been at the end of the season. And we've also got Jono. Now, Matt, where are you? And Jono, where are you? First of all, Matt, in terms of location, not in terms of where you are overall in the whole of FPL.
In terms of location, I am in Glenfield.
So you're in God's county of Glenfield. I'm in northwest Leicestershire in glorious Shepshed, of course. Jono, where are you?
This week I'm actually away for work. I'm actually in Budapest right now.
Nice.
I've just been for a lovely dinner actually with my colleagues, and just rushed back to the hotel. Happy to talk to you both. But I'm away until Thursday, back on Thursday. But usually I'm found in South Leicestershire.
And of course, with being away, the one thing that you do when you're away from home, I've worked away at all sorts of different events and stuff. But the one thing that not reminds you of home, it links you back to home. You know, you can think of maybe walks in the autumn sunshine and mist, maybe a log fire in a pub, maybe even the warm embrace of your family. But it's not. The one thing that links you to home is Fantasy Premier League. That's what grounds you. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. It's all about FPL. And of course, when you're away from home, the times of when you've got to set your team, it's all over the place. It could be 3:30 in the morning, but we are in the middle of an international period. So it's best to bring back the FPL show. Later on this week, we'll have the preview of Leicester's game against Portsmouth. We've had the big show last week, talking everything from Susan Whelan to Milan Mandrix to talking about the stadium expansion, even touching on a little bit of football and the fact that Leicester only deal in great goals. And then we've got the next episode of our Champion Series detailing the league winning season of 2015-2016 as we go through this season. So we're moving into October and November. Stand by for that. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel here on For Fox's Sake Podcast, because if you are a subscriber, and remember, it is free, just click subscribe right now. If you're a subscriber, then you will have entered our fantastic competition. More on that in about a week's time. Stand by for that. But you do need to be a subscription or a member who have subscribed. So basically, just click subscribe. It's free. As we all know, it's free on YouTube. And if you are watching live, then you can message in with a comment, with a question. I have a few questions for Matt Elliott, 186 out of 11 million. Now, I am 66th in the podcast league. I thought I'm doing all right. I don't have Semenyo in midfield, okay? But let's just have a little bit of roll of honour. Now, Joe Healy, a familiar face and voice to many on the podcast, he claimed he was top of the podcast league amongst all the members who are actually on the podcast. Of course, that lasted about 3 seconds as he realised that Tom actually is 2 places above him. Tom's in 12th. Joe is in 14th. Not doing too badly. And then, Matt, you are in 17th, which for, the expert among us is not bad at all, because obviously it brings a little bit of pressure, doesn't it, being 186 out of 11 million one year. And Jono, where are you in the league?
Well, I've got it written there on my little comment there on my. I'm actually 55th, but I have to say, with a caveat, I was doing really well until 2 weeks ago. I was in and around the top 10, just skirting around the top 20. And I've had a dreadful couple of weeks. So I'm hoping to get some useful tips tonight from Matt and
Absolutely.
whoever else.
We all are. I can see also the most devastating news out of all of this is Rob Hayes is 28th. He's above me. We've been doing an FPL section 2 for Fox's Sake for probably about 8 years now out of the 12 we've been doing the podcast. Now we're actually in vision with a show, and Rob's finally above me. And it's great that he's not here. So that's really good. And also, he might not be here for a few weeks. Maybe he's even abroad. Maybe he might miss a deadline. Fingers crossed, sports fans. Anyway, let's move on to what we're going to be doing this week is we're going to be international rescue. It's an international period, Matt. First of all, what are your rules when it comes to an international period? I'll throw one out there, which I don't know whether it's right or not, but I don't like making a transfer the week before an international, because if that player doesn't play very well and maybe gets injured on an international, I kind of feel that it's not the best thing to do. So that was obviously last week. Am I mad with that statement, or does that have any kind of semblance of maybe a little bit of common sense? And don't get me wrong, we're all a big family here. We know I've got no common sense. Does that sound about right for you? What do you do on an international period? How do you attack it?
Well, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't make a transfer until at least the press conferences on a Friday. So my plan this week is to, or was, and probably still is, to bring in Enzo Fernandez from Chelsea. However, you don't know if this is a bit of gamesmanship or what, but he's been recalled back from Argentina with a bit of a knock, apparently. So we'll see. But but that's my plan, taking out Jorginho from Brighton and bringing in Enzo. But yeah, obviously, if you've already made a transfer or two, then don't panic. But yeah, that would be my rule. Don't make a transfer yet until we know everyone's back safe and well.
When it comes to using chips, now I don't know what Jono you have done. I know, Matt, that you are so high because you've actually triple captained Haaland a couple of weeks ago when he bagged them. Was it the late brace against Burnley?
Yeah, that very lucky. Yeah, and if you hadn't done that, I don't know if Jono you didn't do that, but that would have had a big impact on everyone's rank. For those that didn't, there's a lot of people who triple captained Haaland that week, and up until the 90th minute, it was looking like it was a bad decision. But then he pops up and scores twice, and I think got 48 points. So that was a big swing. Just those 2 goals in those 3 or 4 minutes he scored, really. So I have triple captain. I've actually used all my chips except the wild card, which I'm planning to use probably game week 13. I have used a lot of my chips. Bench boost in the first week, free hit in the second week, and then triple captain in game week 6.
Yeah, we know about the bench boost in week 1. That was a big tip on the FPL show. Didn't quite go to plan for me. Now, me and Jono, I think we're in the same boat here, Jono, that we both didn't triple captain Haaland a couple of weeks ago. So that's why we're in an abnormal position of being behind the gang by about 20 odd points or so, because obviously we didn't get those extra points. Jono, it's the first time you've been on the FPL show. Just give us a quick overview of your side. You don't have to go through it 1 to 11 because, again, everyone's kind of got their own side. But how have you done so far? How many chips, I want to know, have you used? And do you have Semenyo in midfield?
I do have Semenyo in midfield. That was one of the probably the better decisions I've made so far. I had Salah from the start as well. He's sort of let me down the last couple of weeks. And it wasn't until I think 2 or 3 weeks ago that I put Haaland in, actually. So I went without Haaland at the beginning of the season. And I actually did a double substitution or double transfer and cost me another 4 points, I think, just to get Haaland in about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I'm glad I did, actually, because he's starting to hit a bit of form, isn't he? And he's knocking them in seemingly for fun now. So he probably will stick in my team for a bit. Other people I've had in and out. João Pedro I've had in. Mateta. I've had a couple of Palace players in there as well. Nunes from Palace, the defender, and a couple of Spurs defenders, which initially I was like, is that a good idea? But actually, they seem to have done me all right so far.
They've not been too bad at all, have they? Spurs when it comes to defence, and also the defensive not only contributions, Matt, but their attacking potential as well. Just to highlight some of the players in my side, I've had Haaland from the start. Drastic errors with Nottingham Forest. I've gone with Ndoye and Wood, and after their a debut brace, it's all gone horribly wrong. So I'm trying to evacuate those from the side. And Ndoye in midfield has been pretty good. And I made the decision up front. I think a lot of people have been looking to wait to see what happens with Liverpool when they start firing. They've probably got rid of Salah at this stage, and I decided to bring in Gyökeres. Weren't too happy about he didn't get that penalty at the end, and he gave it to Saka. But I've got Gyökeres instead of Isak up front. And I'm looking at bringing in Voltemader at some point from Newcastle. But so yeah, I've used my bench boost, and I've used also my wild card. So I've still got my free hit and also my triple captain to use. Matt, at this stage, if you could highlight 2 or 3 players which every team kind of needs to have, have we got to the stage already where we're looking at those players where maybe you have 3 players that are different to many other sides, and that's how you're going to go up and down in the league? It's not necessarily having or not having those star players. Just to throw out a couple of names straight away, Haaland and Semenyo. Do we have a core 3 or 4 players that you just need to have?
I think you do, yeah. I mean, Semenyo's in about 60% of teams, I believe. But yeah, there's 3 or 4 players that I think are sort of talisman players for their teams, and Haaland and Semenyo are certainly fall into that category. I think the other one that's in my team as well is Jared Bowen at West Ham. They've got a nice run of fixtures coming up. And if West Ham are going to score, then chances are Jared Bowen's going to pop up with a goal or the assist, isn't he? He scored the equaliser at Everton. I think Fulkrug is now injured as well for West Ham, which probably isn't a shock. But so whether that sees Bowen up front or stays out on the right, we'll have to see. But yeah, Bowen is definitely a talisman. So yeah, those 3, especially now when we're getting into more after the next international break in November, but between then and Christmas, there's going to be a lot of rotation. You're going to have to try and pick players that are pretty much going to play week in, week out. And I think certainly those 3 are key players for their respective teams, and obviously less so Bowen yet, but hopefully as a Bowen owner myself, and the fixtures they've got on the change of manager as well, that he'll start chipping in with some more points and goals as well.
Yeah, you'd imagine that Bowen would really appreciate Nuno ball, essentially a counter-attacking player, speed and directness that he has. You think it really suits Nuno at West Ham. With that fixture, we'll just come on to the fixture list, because that's what I was going to ask. Now, I look obviously at the games, including the next, say, 4 or 5, and how many green bars there are on the app. And you're looking at teams like Arsenal, I think Leeds, Chelsea, Wolves and West Ham. They've got a pretty good run of fixtures. You mentioned just the international period there, Matt. Just to ask you one thing. So with your side, if you've got a really good 11 and then you've gone for a really cheap bench, so you're saying that probably that's the way to go until the next international period, and then maybe save up some transfers, because then after that, there'll be a lot of changes because there's no internationals then all the way through for a while. So that's when there might be more chopping and changing with, of course, European football. So maybe you want a more balanced side to have players on the bench who actually will contribute because they're more than likely to play.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I've held on to Aaron Wan-Bissaka since the start of the season, and then I've just benched him, and he's never played for me. But then suddenly he's back in the side for West Ham, having come back from injury. So, yeah, I just think with the fixtures coming up, but there's going to be more rotation. I think it's game week 14. It's a midweek fixture block, and I think Liverpool got Southampton at home. Chelsea got a nice fixture as well, and I think Enzo did something similar last year with Chelsea, but he rotated his full 11 in a midweek game at Southampton, which caught everyone off guard. Whether we'll be able to do that this year or not is another matter, given all the injuries and stuff they've got. But yeah, I think if you can roll the transfers, then do so, because obviously we can roll up to 5 now and then, especially if you've not got a wild card, then they'll come really handy. For me personally, I'm planning to wild card in game week 13, so I can chop and change a little bit more and then sort of overhaul it if I need to from there.
Yeah, those games, by the way, just to bring you on the 29th, the 3rd, and then the 6th. So that's a pretty quick turnaround. Liverpool, West Ham away, Sunderland home, and Leeds away. So that's 3 really good fixtures. Yeah. So there you go. Maybe 13 is the magic number, the lucky number to be wildcard in your side. Jono, I want to look at your team. Who do you have? Who are those 1 or 2 players, whether you've got them in your side and they've let you down, or actually they've been a little bit of a star pick that you've got that not many people have? Who are those difference makers in your side that you're still clinging on to?
I'd say the Crystal Palace boys that I've got in, to be honest. They've had a good start to the season, haven't they, Crystal Palace? I always like the look of, is it Munoz? I don't know how you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was excellent last year.
Yeah, really, really good player. Quite attacking, isn't he? And so he caught my eye last season, to be honest. And I've always keep an eye on Crystal Palace because I used to live in Crystal Palace before I moved up to Leicester. So got a bit of a soft spot for them. So the Crystal Palace boys, I think. I've got Marteta, I've got Richards, and I've got Munoz in my side. Salah, I was in two minds whether to ditch him actually after a week or so because he hasn't been pulling up many trees recently. But you can't just ditch him because he's probably score a hat trick the week after. So you got to kind of keep him in. But yeah, I had Woods as well, and I got rid of him a few weeks ago. Brought Haaland in, as I said, but. Yeah, Semenyo is probably the one that's been keeping me alive and keeping me afloat, to be honest. He seems to be having a cracking season.
Yeah, he's sunk my battleship, I tell you. There's a couple. I've got Dango in midfield from Brentford, who we discussed on the last FPL show, thinking that he might be banging the goals in for Brentford. Turns out it's Thiago, the centre-forward, who's done that. And then with those Forest players, it's just been a disaster. And the one player that's disappointing me, though, you spoke about, Jono, about the defenders from Tottenham. I had Jed Spence, who's been really good for England, and then when it comes to Spurs, he's actually been benched a few times. And I just thought his attacking prowess would be fantastic, with assists and maybe goals. Turns out he got neither. He's got a few clean sheets, but oh dear, very disappointing. And Dye, I'm still on to in midfield from Everton. But when you look at those fixtures, though, Matt, if you are holding on to a number of transfers right now, we mentioned a few teams. I think there's two that really do stand out. Unless you're going Bowen at West Ham, I think there's two especially, and it's Arsenal and Chelsea pretty much stand out, don't they? Should we be looking at maybe doubling up at Chelsea? And who would you pick? And with Arsenal, I think the big question is, do we go for 3 Arsenal players? And who would you have?
So as for Chelsea, I've already got João Pedro. Remarkably, I think it's the third most transferred out player this week, which just baffled me personally because he's going to play in game week 8 and game week 9 because he's suspended for the Champions League game in the middle, so he's almost guaranteed to play both games of the 2 nights. Well, so I'm very surprised he's being transferred out by a lot of managers. So yeah, João Pedro for me. If you want a midfielder, my plan is for Enzo Fernandez. And if you want a Chelsea defender, I'd probably go with Chalobah or Cucurella, one or two. Cucurella is more likely to get you an attacking return. Chalobah is more likely to get you a defensive contribution, which is a new feature this season. And as for Arsenal, you mentioned you went for Gyökeres. I went with Saka, so I was quite happy that he took that penalty the other week. But yeah, one or the other, or both if you can afford both. It'll probably be hard to have Haaland, Gyökeres and Saka, I'd imagine. So I've gone for Haaland and Saka in midfield. I've also got Gabriel in defence. But again, I'm just sticking with the 2 Arsenal for now. But again, David Raya in goal. Especially if you want wild card, I'd certainly consider David Raya. Julian Timbers as well, scoring highly for Arsenal. But again, just with rotation, playing at right back, I can see Ben White coming in for at least one game. Maybe not yet, but certainly after November in a right back. But yeah, certainly those 3 or 4 Arsenal players. I mean, Arsenal squad's so strong, isn't it? That nowadays they can put anyone in and they can probably have enough to beat most teams. But certainly defensively, I know a lot of people are going double defence because they're looking pretty solid at the back, and Gabriel and Raya or Timber are probably the 2 of the 3. And again, either Saka or Gyökeres up front.
Yeah, I've got.
Sorry.
Go on, Jono.
I've got a question about what formation you think is the best one to go for.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Traditionally, I've always tend to still go 3 at the back because it's been the attackers get you points. But yeah, with defensive contributions this season, a lot of players have been getting additional points. I think there's been 7 game weeks, I think, and there's been 3 players that have got defensive contributions in 6 of those. That's Tarkowski at Everton, Anderson at Fulham, and Senesi at Bournemouth. So if players are consistently getting those additional 2 points, then that's giving them at least a minimum of 4 points a game, and then if they chip in, if they get bonus points or even get a clean sheet. You mentioned Munoz as well, so I did the cardinal sin of checking my FPL team while the Palace game was on last week. Everton, after he had scored and they were winning 1-0 and he'd got DEFCON and he was on for 3 bonus, so he was on for like 16 points. In the end, 8 or 9, which is perfectly fine for defenders. So yeah, there is certainly a case to be had to go 4, if not 5 at the back and big at the back, as they might say.
I suppose also it applies for the goalkeeper as well. Like I've got David Raya and I've got Gabriel and Gyökeres. I've gone 3 for the Arsenal. But of course with Raya, you're guaranteed clean sheets, but you're probably only guaranteed 6 points because he's not going to make many saves. When if you're having a mid-table side or a goalkeeper, Pickford for a top, off the top of my head, who makes a lot of saves, you're maybe going to get 4 points if you concede a goal. But then, of course, you're going to get a clean sheet. And if you do get a clean sheet, you're going to get a lot more than Raya. Raya is your steady Eddie, but he's going to cost a little bit more money. So it's that kind of guaranteed points versus you might get a fair few more with saves. It's the same with the defenders, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And yeah, that's the risk of going with 2 players from the same team at the back. In fact, well, that was the risk anyway. Because if the clean sheet goes, then you're going to reduce points, but you've still got that opportunity with defensive contributions. My goalkeeper's been a bit of a nightmare for me this season. Well, Verbruggen is my keeper who scored an own goal last week off his backside. The Leeds goalkeeper who's been out injured. So yeah, hopefully he's back this week, I believe. So, but yeah, defensively, there's a lot more options. Whereas traditionally for defenders, we'd go with full-backs or wing-backs. And I would, Munoz is the exception because he is so attacking. He virtually plays as a right winger. But, if you look down the years, it's been the likes of Trent and Andy Robertson and basically full-backs that have been getting the points, whereas now, and I think it's partly because of how the game's gone this season as well. There's so many more long throw-ins and stuff, and with that then brings headed clearances and blocks and things like that. So I think that is partly to contribute as well with that. The teams are going more direct now. That is sort of the way the game's going at the moment. But that's, again, partly why there's so many defensive contributions. I think Van Dijk's up there as well. So yeah, but certainly there is a case to have to start with at least 4 defenders and more centre backs than full backs.
Just looking at those fixture lists, just to reiterate what we're doing over the next 4 games, Arsenal-wise: Fulham away, Palace at home, Burnley away, Sunderland away, and then with Chelsea, Forest away, Sunderland home, Tottenham away, and then you got Wolves, and also they got Wolves at home and Burnley away. So not bad at all when it comes to those 2 teams. Let's, in the last 6-7 minutes of the show, let's just go through each of our teams. So we're going to go quick fire here. So I'm going to say the position, and I want the 4 players or 3 players or even 5 if you've got 5 in midfield or defense in your first team. Don't worry about the bench. So goalkeeper, and it will go Matt, Jono, then me. So goalkeeper.
Perry, the Leeds goalkeeper, as it stands.
For me, Kelleher, Brentford.
And I've got David Raya in goal. Who have you got, Matt, in goal?
Is he called Perry, the Leeds goalkeeper?
Perry? You got Kevin on the bench?
Yeah. Is it? I don't know, you'll have to check. But the Leeds, whatever his name, the Leeds goalkeeper, not Cole Darlow. The other one.
I don't know. I still think that John Lukage is in goal for Leeds at the moment. Never mind. Right, defence, Matt.
It's Gabriel, Munoz, and I can't remember who the other one is. It's not Wan-Bissaka, he's on my bench, and it's not You'll have.
I will tell you. I will give you a little indication here because Matt's actually using his phone at the moment because he's got a little bit of internet trouble. You've got is it Esteve at
yes,
yes,
they've got
yes at Burnley. Go on, Jono.
I've got Romero at Spurs, Nunes, Crystal Palace, and Van der Ven back three.
I've got Mark Gahey from Palace, Cucurella at Chelsea, and I've got Gabriel at Arsenal. Right, Matt, your midfield, if you can remember.
Reinders, Saka. Well, it shows Jorginho, but it's probably going to be Enzo Fernandez. And my other midfielder is Semenyo, of course. Yes, Semenyo.
Very good and also well remembered. Jono?
I've got Salah, Anderson at Forest, Reinders, and Semenyo.
Well, I think we're all three have got Reinders. I've got Reinders, Dango at Brentford, still holding on, Ndai at Everton, and Kudos from Tottenham. And then your 2 or 3 forwards, it will be 3 forwards, Matt.
Yeah, Haaland as captain. Nice week's rest as well now. Is withdrawn from Norway. Jared Bowen and João Pedro.
Jono?
Me. I've got Haaland captain. I've got João Pedro and Mateta from Crystal
well, I've got that's pretty good. I might go Mateta. I've got Haaland, Wood, and Gyökeres as my forward line. But what are we doing this week? So I want to know what your plan is this week, Matt, which you've already slightly given away. And also, what are you going to be doing over the next couple of weeks? What's your aim? So what are you doing for this week? And maybe where are you going with your chips, which I know you've already mentioned, but just to reiterate.
So the plan this week, all being well, is to take out Jorginho Rutter from Brighton. He's been in and out of the team, really. And bring in Enzo Fernandez. That's my 1 free transfer. If Enzo's been ruled out or is a doubt, I'll probably just roll the transfer and start Wan-Bissaka and go with 4 at the back. But yeah, that's the plan. And then going forward, so where we are, we're on game week 8 now, aren't we? So yeah, planning to wildcard in 13. So I'm pretty happy with my team, actually. I don't really want to waste a transfer on a goalkeeper. I've got 15 fit players, touch wood. So yeah, I don't really, like I say, my strikers have all got, obviously, Haaland and then Bowen and João Pedro have all got nice fixtures. So yeah, and barring injury or suspension, probably not that many transfers between now and game week 12, 13.
Jono, what are your plans for this week?
Do you know what? I was thinking about having a bit of a boring week and not changing anything, actually. So I bank the transfers. I've already got 2 free transfers because I haven't made any changes for a couple of weeks, and I'm thinking rather than spanking the chips, I'm going to save up a few of those free transfers and make a few changes in a couple of weeks' time. But I'm looking at my midfield. Realistically, what I could adjust in the subs bench as well. I'm kind of happy with the forward line, happy-ish with the midfield. The weak spot I think I've got is Anderson from Forest. Whether I can do an upgrade there potentially would be the one thing I might tinker with this week. But yeah, other than that, I'm going to keep it quite as it is, to be honest.
You're certainly in a good position then with having transfers as well. And if you're going to sit pretty and inherit another one or get another one on board, then very good. Now I've got a bit of a dilemma, so I need a couple of wise owls alongside me here to kind of give me a bit of help. So I've got a fair few quid in the bank, and I need to get rid of either Dango in midfield or obviously Chris Wood up front. Now, instantly you'd go probably Chris Wood, really. Or maybe Ndoi in midfield. Ndoi was the one actually to get rid of. So it's one or the other. I was looking at either getting rid of Chris Wood and bringing in Voltemeda from Newcastle, or maybe a João Pedro because of the little nugget of knowledge that Matt gave, the fact that he's suspended, so he will probably play both games in the Premier League and they've got a good run of fixtures. Or if I change the midfield, I was again looking for Chelsea, and of course you're going to bring in Caicedo. Was it Caicedo? Enzo Fernandez. But I was looking at maybe Caicedo, but I was looking maybe a little bit differently because I think with Chelsea, they've got such a good run of fixtures. And I'm looking at Enzo Maresca thinking we know at Leicester, obviously, he likes that settled team. And I was looking at the forward line, and I was quite impressed with Garnacho actually starting for Chelsea, and looking at it thinking, hang on, am I going to bring in Garnacho into my fantasy team? Or maybe that Estavio who scored a really good goal. But the problem is we don't have Palmer in the side because he would have been a great signing. But am I mad, Matt, for going for one of those? Am I mad for looking at Garnacho ahead of Fernandez?
I wouldn't say mad, Pete, but it's risky. So you've got Pedro Neto as well as an option. They've got so many options on the wing, so they're not guaranteed to start those. Enzo or even Caicedo. Enzo's more of a goal threat, but Caicedo probably gets defensive contributions as well, and obviously scored a brilliant goal against Liverpool. So I think if you're going to pick a Chelsea midfielder, it'd be Enzo or Caicedo. But look, if you want to roll the dice, then I mean, Garnacho has not really done much. I don't think he's not got an attacking return. I don't think for Chelsea. I see where it was. If you pick a winger, I'd go with Esteval. But again, it's that. Whether he's going to play week in, week out, that's the question mark there.
That's the thing. I think I might just change Chris Wood up front and just change him for the Newcastle centre forward and be done with it. And play Dango because he's going to score a hat-trick at West Ham this weekend. I presume we're a team full of Haaland's captains. Yes, Captain Haaland.
No doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. At the moment,
I think so as well.
Do you guys know when you'll be triple captain? Any eyes on that? Any idea?
Whenever there's a double game week, I think that's I kind of use. Well, that was always my tactic to use the triple captain as and when there's double game weeks later in the season. But whether that's a good tactic or not, I don't know. But
that's it. But this season, you get 2 lots of transfers, don't you? So you got to use all your chips before game week 19, and then you get another lot after 19 to 38. So.
I didn't know that. That's worth
okay.
Well, so yeah, it's actually a good thing to use your chips because I think up until this season, I was always holding back on doing like my wild cards and stuff until later in the season when there's FA Cup third round or quarterfinals and stuff where teams have got a week out and then a double game week and all of that sort of stuff. So maybe that's a tip I hadn't thought about actually.
Yeah, no,
I knew that you were getting. Another wild card and bench boost and all those. I didn't think you get a triple captain. I thought you only get one of those. Or am I completely wrong?
Yeah, you get everything. Yeah, you get everything twice basically. So last year you got 2 wild cards and then just one of everything. This year you get 2 of everything, but you've got to use them all before game week 19. And then you get.
I think we better get looking. We better get looking at the fixture list, Jono. Then I mean, if you're looking at Manchester City, they got Everton at home this weekend, and you can go all the way to end of November when they got Leeds at home, Sunderland at home as well in December. So there's a few fixtures there which I think Mr. Haaland may have his eyes lit up on. Anything else, chaps? I think we've covered pretty much everything. Is there just that one nugget of stardust? Is there that one little bit of what's the secret player that you've just got your eye on at the moment, Matt? That maybe is owned by 0.01% of the population. Who's that one player who you're just looking at and going, they may have got like 3 points so far, but I think they've been playing well and could be a Matt Elliott player in the future.
Oof, blimey. I've genuinely no idea. I just took a name out there. Callum Wilson, just because Fulkrug's injured, so he could get a run of games up front, and given West Ham's fixtures, may score a goal or 2. But again, very injury prone is Callum Wilson. So I'll just say Callum Wilson. But yeah, everyone don't wish to get Callum Wilson in your team just based on that. But that's it.
Callum Wilson. I'll give you a couple. There's a centre forward for. I mean, first of all, you got Strand Larson at Wolves. I'm talking about Wolves here, but they do have a really nice run of fixtures. Okay, they've got Sunderland away, Burnley at home, Fulham away, and then Chelsea, Palace, and Villa. But those 3 fixtures are good. And Strand Larson, 6.4 million, he's done nothing because he's just come back from injury, but he's now fully fit and playing. But also, I quite like this Tolu lad. He's about 9'7". I think that's accurate. And he's scored in the cup, and he looks a real handful. I can see him being one of those players who actually all of a sudden you see him starting a few games. So I'll be looking at their forwards. I thought that the rest of the side was a bit strange. They've got a couple of defenders who are absolutely rapid, but I think you're just not going to get the points at the other end of the field for them to be to really kind of qualify. And then away from those, I think that I've mentioned him already, and he's not really gone under the radar because we all know about him. He's owned by 9.8, so I still think that kind of qualifies as a differential. And it is Nick Waltermader, the Newcastle centre forward. Really good start to his Newcastle career. Very steady earner as well. 9, 2, 7, and 6. So it's not like he's got all of his points in one game so far. And he also, very importantly, he took that penalty, didn't he? Where he just chipped it into the top corner. So very handy as a penalty taker as well. So, and I think they'll be going very well, Newcastle. Just looking at their fixtures, they've got Brighton away, Fulham at home, West Ham away, Brentford away. So that's not bad at all for the next 4 games. So just a couple of players there which I kept my eye on and thought they were okay. That's it for the FPL show. Thanks to Matt. Thanks for Jono for joining us. Any questions that you have to ask Matt, then make sure you get in contact with us at FFS Pod, at For Fox 8 Podcast, at on X or on Twitter. Do make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just click subscribe below or where it is on your screen now. And if you are subscribed, you're entered into our fantastic competition in time for Christmas. Okay. It might be a shirt. It might be some gift vouchers from the Leicester City Football Club shop. We shall see. But it will be announced in the next few weeks, and you'll be able to win them in time for Christmas to then get the gifts to maybe give away, if you know what I mean. So it's not going to be drawn at Christmas. So all you got to do is subscribe. Now, if you do have 3 or 4 different channels, maybe it's your channel, maybe you can always subscribe 3 times and have 3 chances of winning. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be back this week with the preview with Rob Hayes. It won't be with Rob because it'll be with me. And then also we'll be back next week with a big show with myself and also the Champions Show. Right. That's it, chaps. Good luck this week. Not too good, though, because me and Jono, we're playing catch-up. But, Jono, we've still got our triple captains up our sleeve. Have you? If you have, when are you planning on watching? Right, that's it from us. We're going to go away now. I'm going to phone Jono, and we're going to try and sort out which fixture we're going to play our triple captain on.